currently in the 23rd show and tell. So this is our 23rd one of these that we do every 3 weeks to talk you through what we've done in the last 3 weeks. So show and tells really are the way that we keep people updated. We try to go out to the general public or members of staff or those sorts of people. So anybody who wants to attend can attend, partly as a bit of a kind of share what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're going to be doing next, and then an opportunity for some feedback and questions. So show and tell is really one of the main tools that we use. They're all based on an agile and user-centered design approach. So we build in small stages. So we have these 3-week sprints that we plan every 3 weeks in terms of the work that we're trying to do. And we do everything in small iterations. So we don't try to launch everything all at the same time. And we measure and we learn and we build, and then we go around that circle many, many times whilst we're going through things. Some things take longer, some things take multiple sprints, some things we deliver within a single sprint. I'm joined today by colleagues from Unboxed and from the web content team, all of whom play a huge part, as well as all our clients, if you like, in services that we work with closely. We'll talk a little bit about our vision, but we won't harp on this. We talk about this every time. We will give our residents more free time by making everything they do with the council faster and easier. That's the general principle that we hold behind everything that we do. And in order to do that, we talk to residents, we talk to our users, we talk to internal users, we talk to people about what their user needs are and how we can build tools and systems and processes and online content that works for them, not just for other people and not just for us. So this project's been ongoing for about a year now. We delivered what we call a minimum viable product in April this year as we merged our 5 previous organisations together to create Buckinghamshire Council. And realistically, we've probably got, it'll never stop. It's a bit like the Forth Road Bridge, but we've probably got another year to 18 months of actual delivery of buckinghamshire.gov.uk. What we're doing at the moment, we're setting out clear content guidelines for services and engaging with services to create their roadmaps, and also integration with the service improvement programme going along as well, which is hugely important for us. By the end of this year, we should have our work programme for the next 15, 18 months mapped out. And we want to do that really to accelerate the rate of migration. We have a small proportion of the content from all the old legacy sites migrated at the moment, and we have to get all that content migrated before the sites are closed down, which at the moment is notionally in April 2022. So sounds like a long way off, but it's really not when you think we've got many thousands of pages to go through from district sites, county sites, our new Buckinghamshire sites. So by the end of next year, the plan is to have all that content in flight at least, and then turning off those legacy websites by March 2022. So what have we done this time? So current work streams, which we'll talk about, and I'll pass over to our colleagues from Unboxed and Torchbox in a minute. Bin collection, long form documents, and some enhancements to our search. Search is hugely important for us and is one of the key ways in which residents are able to find the information that they're looking for. Some of the things that we're kind of wrapping up, or which are ongoing, as I said, some things take multiple sprints to deliver. We're still doing some work around schema.org, which is all around making sure our content is the most searchable and most findable and has the correct meta information and things like that in it. We're obviously lots of work ongoing for coronavirus, local lockdown tools, track and trace tools, and also family information service, which is an ongoing really large project for us, which we're looking at getting. We're in the final development sprints now with a view to that going live with an MVP in December and January. So I'm going to pass over to Sarah from Unboxed now to talk us through the work that they're currently doing around bin collection. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Pete. Hello, everyone. So bin collection. So 3 weeks ago, we decided to actually tackle the bin collection. And more precisely, what we had in mind was to answer a common question, which is, when is my bin collection? So not knowing much about it, we decided to approach it by doing a discovery. And just to explain a little bit what is a discovery, basically it's about learning, essentially. It's about understanding the problem. It's about understanding the link between a subject and how it is linked to different other subjects and how they interact together, to see and define basically the scope of a project and the consequences behind it. So for that, I've been gathering evidence. So on this one, I've been doing some interviews, but also I've been shared actually some documents which really help me understanding the scope, but also the complexity behind the project. So the idea at the end of it, and this is where we are now, is the end of a discovery phase is essentially about informing, measuring different type of risk or how risky it is, basically what are the consequences of working on something, and also essentially advise and inform and recommend about next step. If we can move to the next slide, please. So for those who followed the previous show and tell, we talked about content migration, and I'd like to actually go back to it because this is where the story is starting for bin collection. The reason why we decided to actually tackle bin collection specifically is because it is one of the most popular search on the website, which we can see here with, it's actually on number 9 on the list of popularity of pages on the site. We had a lot of visits from June to November, so 13,000 is a massive number. And then we had 6,200-ish call from April to November. So the idea for the web team to actually tackle this subject is to reduce the numbers of calls, but also make sure we understand the user needs and user expectation to respond in the best possible way to them, so they can actually find information independently and not having necessarily to call or contact the council. If we can move on to the next slide. So overall, and I try to summarize because it's quite a big project. So as I was going through those documentation, as I was going through those interviews, it was a little bit like a Pandora box. There was always something and something. And basically overall, what we found out is that there are different, it is a very complex project because there are different systems in place. Not only that, but different process in place. And then when we get into the granularity of it, even the content is different, even the approach is different. So now as a next step from this discovery phase, what I'm going to do is, which I hope we're going to do it so in the next sprint, is to inform my colleague from the digital team and see how we can best tackle the bin collection. So we are aligned with anything happening within the council, but also aligned with the different system in place and make sure that we respond to the user need and offer the best journey possible. So that's it for the bin collection so far. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So long form documents. If we can move on to the next one. So this project is quite a complex one. It can refer to different departments. It's essentially, in a nutshell, it's about how can we display a lot of content to the public in a way that they can understand it and in a way that they can navigate through it and find what they are looking for, but also discover, if they are not looking for something, discover and learn by using the information, the content we provide to them. So some templates have been put in place in a way to actually respond to that, but also in order to respond to user needs, we also consider the fact that they might also want and need a PDF version of it. So this is something we are working on. And on the other side, which is essentially the making and how can we actually reach a page like the one we can see here, it's how can we actually format a Word document for anyone who will be writing a piece of content like the one we can see here, and how this Word document can then be sent and being processed in a way that we can then deliver a comprehensive digital form. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Here we go. So, so this is a very exciting part of the project. It's essentially about tables and charts. So the idea behind it is when we have a lot of content, we need to make sure that it is user-friendly, but also accessible. So this is extremely important. So we had this request where the idea was, can we have some charts, but also can we have some tables? And what we came up with, so at the moment we are exploring different options because it is quite complex, and also it needs to be really thorough. So what we landed on at the moment where we are is essentially basically providing a table which is as simple as possible, so not too much data, making it easy to understand to anyone. And then in terms of charts, same thing, going for simplicity. If we combine a chart and a table, we need also to have a very sensitive approach to it, because not all charts will respond to the same table or the same style of table. So as an example, if we look at this chart here on the table on the left-hand side, we have some percentages. So this kind of table could easily be translated as a pie chart, which is the one at the bottom right, yes. So this is easily translatable this way. However, if we are in a position where what we want to express is more chronological, for example, then this makes absolutely no sense to have a pie chart. We need to have a different approach. As an example, what we have above are the vertical bars, but then there are many other ways to approach this kind of data. So we also explored, so I've done some design on different lines, which could totally match with chronological information, or horizontal bar as well, as an example. But everything we are trying to do is to simplify the data. And obviously, if possible, what we would like to do is guiding whoever is writing the data, a text to accompany those tables and those graphs. So it is really easy to understand. It's visual, but also having the table makes it extremely concrete. So the idea behind it as well is to make sure that we respond to different people's perspective. So some people are really comfortable with something extremely visual, where some others do prefer saying clearly articulated numbers. So we need to consider those different profiles as well. So this is the project we are working on, which I think is really exciting. It is a work in progress for now, so that's something we're also planning to review in the next sprint of hopefully. So if we move on to the next slide, and I think I'll pass over to Nick. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. When we started talking this morning about presenting some of this stuff, my head started to explode slightly with the way in which you can display certain types of data, and not being able to display chronological data on a pie chart never really occurred to me before, but of course it doesn't make any sense. So there's some really good work going on in there. Nick, I'm going to pass over control of the screen to you, if you can do that.
It is telling me only meeting organisers and presenters can share.
Okay, so I will reshare, and I think I have a link. Excuse me a second. So is this the correct link, Nick?
Oh, okay. Yes. In that case, if you don't mind me narrating things to search for,
yep,
as I described this to you, then this would be really handy. Okay. So rather than presenting, I'm going to boss you about, Peter.
Okay, no problem.
Right. So this is our search. Could you go to the live website, please, instead?
Yep.
Leave this one open. this is the search page, and I'm going to talk to you about search improvements. There's one table of things I won't be able to show, given that Peter's going to be sharing instead. But we've found that when people searched for common terms, obviously lots of results came up, but the user satisfaction results we were getting from the search page were significantly stand out as being poor. If you have a look at the search, for example, school uniform, Peter, you should get no results at all. And we've identified a few reasons why this is, but okay, so there's one, don't click on it, there's one news article, but not the information people are looking for. And because when you get no results at all, there's another one, if you search for how do I get a blue badge, people were putting in things like long text descriptions and sentences, and it reflects the way lots of people imagine using search. And when you get no results, then very, very close, because the page is very short, is this "is pages useful" question, and it's brought right in front of you. You're frustrated by not having found what you wanted, so it's very tempting for people to click no. So search has been something we've looked into for a while at different ways to fix it. We've taken our time fixing this because we wanted to get it right, and we have much improved search ready to go on the staging site. But before you go there, one of the smaller improvements we've made is that we've added an improved page that shows when you have no results. Can you refresh this page now, or just perform that search again, Peter? I've just edited it in the admin interface. So now at least when people get nothing at all, which should be much reduced, we've got an editable system of tips and advice and places people can go, including Google, and also there's going to be an extra link to district council sites too. Beyond that, though, we did look at different options for the search engine, and Boris, who used to work on this project, came up with a relatively novel way of scoring searches, and I have a table that I was going to show, but it doesn't matter too much. We compared both the current search engine, which is looking in our database and trying to do text matches. We looked at a bespoke search engine called Elasticsearch, and we looked at a commercial product called Cluedo, which is actually built on Elasticsearch as well. And we scored them all just based on a bunch of common searches like the ones I've just given: blue badges, school uniforms. There's a planning application code that comes up with no results. And the score was based on how high up the list of results does my intended page arrive. And then if it's the first out of 2 results, that's a very high score. If it's the first out of 1,000 results, or that dilutes it a little bit, so maybe that's a bit of a lower score. And we decided that based on all of these, Elasticsearch, which is an available backend for the content management system we're using for Wagtail, Elasticsearch already gave us really good results. So Peter, if you now go and have a look at the staging site, the search for school uniform should work for 2 reasons. The first is that the algorithm being used in the background understands a little bit more about relevancy and produces results for things based on school uniform appearing in the middle of a 1,000-page document will get rated lower than a page titled school uniform, and the new search engine is better able to work out that kind of priority. Additionally, though, we're now not insisting on a match for every single word. So if it's only got the word school in, or it's only got the word uniform in, then at least you'll get something relevant. And secondly, the algorithms are based on the understanding of the way that English words change their endings slightly, so that getting married and marry have different endings but are related to the same word. So how do I get a blue badge is another search we've tested. If you try that one again, Peter, that one now gives lots of results on here, and the top ones are related. Okay, and if you search on the main site for how do I apply for a new badge, you get it. You don't have to, but you get the result because of the word apply. But if you search for how do I get a blue badge, it doesn't appear there. And then finally, we still found that in looking at our Google Analytics results for searches, that people were using different terms than we might normally expect within the council. So refuse versus waste was one synonym that we thought people were, they didn't necessarily know what the council's term was. So they were searching with what they thought that the term should be. And we've implemented a feature to be able to say, these three words are all the same meaning. So single person discounts and council tax was a common search, and we can now tell the search engine that people mean the same thing. So I've put in a couple of extremely fake synonyms just for demonstration purposes. So if you search for cumulonimbus, the search engine believes you're searching for parking. That's one word though. And we'll give you results about parking. So maybe if we have something about fixed penalty notices, that could be used for to guide people to results about paying a parking fine. This is all ready to go, apart from that it was approved so late that we haven't deployed it yet. And it's going to be made live, I think, on the beginning of next week. And the only thing remaining is that I think it would be really nice for statistics and for analysis point of view to get some good hard numbers on whether or not we get improvement on customer satisfaction with the search. So I think we'll be talking to Sarah and looking at the Google Analytics and making sure that we're confident that this tested improved search also provides benefit for residents.
Thanks, Nick. Fantastic. I mean, if Google can build a world-class empire on search, then Nick can probably do the same thing. So yeah, really strong performance on that. And we know that the relatively poor performance of some of our search terms has been a problem in the past. So whatever we can do to make that better, then fantastic. Thank you very much. Then last bit of the show and tell really is talking about what we're going to be doing next. So we have next steps. We have an open roadmap. You can see here there's a screen grab of it. I'll also flip quickly to the actual live version where you can go and review what we're doing, where we're going to be deploying stuff. So you'll see improvements to search is going to be moved into our live session for next sprint. So that Trello board is available to anybody. It's out there. We publish the link. So anybody can see what it is we're going to be doing now and next. Next we have. So next things that we're doing is doing some more work around the approach for bin collections. As Sarah mentioned, discovery really is the first part of it. It's then what that informs and how we take this forward, both with the service and potentially working with other teams within the local authority as well. Building the roadmap. So we want to make our roadmap a little bit more visible to everybody. So we've been doing some investigation of tool sets that may enable us to do that, to be a little bit more open with how we publish that rather than just using Trello. And obviously, as we go along, one of the big things that exercises me for a lot of my time is that content prioritization piece and how we tie it closely into not only the work that we're doing in terms of analytics and things like that, but also the ongoing service improvement work that's going on. So next show and tell will be the last one before Christmas on the 17th of December. Anybody has any questions, then please either drop them in the chat or pipe up now. Otherwise, we are done. Let's have a look. So if there are no questions from anybody, then we'll close this show and tell down. Speak to you all in 3 weeks' time. If anybody ever needs any more information or wants to get any more please email me. Feel free to do that. Email myself or Colin or any member of the team, and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.